Hi everyone, this is Holly. So some of you expressed an interest in following me along on my next cover creation, so I thought I would get started right at the very beginning and give you guys a quick look at what the beginning of the process is and go from there. So today I decided that I'm going to work with this image. It's a little weird and awkward the way that they're sitting, and I thought that it would be kind of a fun challenge to see how I can get them onto a cover and looking perhaps a little bit more normal. We'll see if I succeed. So the first thing that I want to do after I open up a picture is to make a copy of it in my layers panel over here, and that's so I'm not destroying the picture as I work on it, and I make sure that I have another version that I can go back to if I make any mistakes or if I want to make changes to it later. This ensures that. So I just make a copy of it here, and now I have two layers of it. I'm just going to turn this layer off so I don't see it. And in order for me to be able to put it on a different background, what I have to do is remove all of this background that's behind them, because I don't want that to be in my book cover. So in order to do that, it's kind of a tedious process, which is called isolating. And to tell you the truth, I don't know if I do this the fastest way. There's probably quicker ways that other people are really familiar with. And maybe there are some designers in this group who might take a look at this and say, you know what, you could do it faster this way. And if that's the case, I hope you will chime in, because I'd love to know. But again, I probably have mentioned this before, but I'm actually pretty new to Photoshop. I've been a designer for many, many years, but most of my work has been in Illustrator, and I haven't really done a lot of photo manipulation until I started doing book covers. So I've only been using Photoshop for about 3 months, and all things considered, I think I'm doing a pretty good job. But, there's probably some techniques that are not the number one techniques that designers are using to do some of these things. So just keep that in mind. These are my techniques and how I go about it. And if you happen to be a designer and you know a better way to do it, please feel free to chime in and let me or anybody else know, so we can keep improving our skills. So in order for me to erase the background, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a solid color adjustment layer. And I like to work with a really bright color, something in the yellow department, because that helps me see behind, as I erase some of the background from this, I'll be able to see that yellow, and it helps me distinguish where I have made changes and where I haven't. So I'll start with, there's a tool in here that's called the background eraser tool, and it's really helpful because what it does is this little plus area that's in the middle of that paintbrush there is the target area. So it's going to pick up some of the information from the background of the picture, and it's going to decide, well, this is the color that I want to remove from this picture, and it's going to only remove things in those color tones. Some of the problems with this is sometimes if you have an image that has a background that's really similar to the foreground, you might accidentally erase some of the foreground that you don't want to have erased. So you need to be a little bit careful, and there are some adjustments that you can make up here, like with the tolerance level, which will increase or decrease, the colors, the number of colors that it'll remove from the picture. I won't go too into detail with that stuff, but I'm going to show you the quick process of it so you can get an idea. So once I click, I just kind of follow the couple around the edges. And some of this you just have to go in and do it by hand without using one of these tools. And really, usually the hardest area is the hair, because you often have all those little hair wisps that are around, and it can make it look kind of strange and bad. And that's the most difficult part, and you usually will have to go in and do that by hand as well. So now that I've done this, what I want to do is I want to apply a layer mask. What I want to do is I want to select my the areas that I've erased first. So I'm clicking Command and then clicking on the thumbnail image here, my layers, and you'll see these dotted lines have appeared. That's selected my areas that I've erased, and now I'm going to apply a mask, and you'll see over here the mask now shows what I've erased on this image. Now, what I want to do is I want to darken up those areas and erase the rest of the background that I didn't erase with that tool. So I'm going to Alt click on my mask, and it gives me this outline where I've erased, to see where I've erased content. And some of it is, you know, just kind of see-through still. So I want to darken that up. And the way to do that is I'll use my paintbrush, and I'll want to go over here and I'll select a nice hard round brush. I want my opacity to be all the way up, and then I will select a blend mode. Now, some of you who are not designers are not necessarily going to even care anything about these blend modes, but if you are a designer and this is not a technique you've used, you'll go to Overlay, and then I want to make sure that I have my brush set. And so now that I've done that, I'll just go over the areas that I have already erased, and you can see that it's picking up and darkening the areas to a solid black now. And I'll do that just a couple of times. And now there are some areas that are a little messed up at the bottom here, and later on I'll go in and fix that. So once I've done that, now I want to go back to a normal blend mode, and this is where I'm going to start erasing the whole background. All right, so that's about where I want it. Now if I go back to the picture, you can see that I've removed all of that background. There are some spots that don't look so great, and you definitely want to clean those up before you go into dragging it into a new picture. So the next step is to do those details. Now remember, I saved that layer before. So now if I turn off this middle layer with the yellow in it, it looks like I didn't do anything because I turned that layer visibility back on. And the reason why I saved this was because for this particular picture, I actually erased those outlines. So that picture is, I can't get those pieces back that I erased. They're gone. So I wanted to have a copy of it so that I could make another copy. And I will actually move this mask that I've created down to this picture that I don't have any parts erased. So I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to turn this off. And now you can see that I have this mask here, and it is blocking out this background. So that's basically what a mask is. It's keeping me from seeing the parts that are behind the mask. And I can turn that on and off by shift clicking on the mask so I can see what the difference is. So what I want to do now is I want to go in and clean up all of those edges. So to do that, I'm going to turn my yellow layer back on so I still have a clear picture behind it, and I can see where my edges are, and I'm going to zoom in really close. And this is where it starts getting really tedious, and it takes some time to actually go through it and make it look good. So I'm going to make sure I have my mask selected. Okay, so I'm going to use my paintbrush tool, and I'm going to make sure that I'm using a hard round brush and that my opacity is still set up at 100%. And I'm going to go around and remove all of these little areas that I didn't get with the background eraser tool. So from here, I will just go around, and I'll fast forward through this part so you don't have to sit in real time and watch it. But this is basically what I do at this point. I'll just go through and do all of the details. Now you can see that it is isolated here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it, and I will put it into a different part of my library where I can transfer it right over to the image that I'm going to work with. So now obviously some of this looks a little weird where I've removed the background, and that's part of the challenge, is how do I put that into another picture and make it look normal. So that is what I will do next. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know.